You can't demand respect from others, but you can live in a way that makes it impossible for them not to give it. A lot of people ask themselves, why do I work so hard, treat others kindly, and still feel like no one takes me seriously? I used to feel the same way, and then I realized something. Respect isn't something you wait for from others, it's something that naturally grows when you start respecting yourself. In Stoic philosophy, respect begins on the inside. It doesn't come from status. It doesn't come from flashy words. It comes from the habits you live by every single day, small, simple choices that quietly build or slowly destroy the way people see you. So today, as someone who's practiced Stoicism for over 15 years, I want to share with you 7 toxic habits that must be removed from your life if you truly want to become someone who's respected, not just by others, but by yourself. Stop making excuses. A Stoic path to self-respect. Have you ever noticed, every time you fail at something, there's always a good reason to justify it? The traffic was terrible. My boss didn't support me. I just didn't have time. It wasn't really my fault. Sound familiar? Hey, I'm not here to call you out. I've been there. And honestly, most of us have. I remember a season in my life when I was always late to work. Not because I was lazy, no. I had plenty of valid reasons: heavy traffic, a bad night's sleep, a bad mood, or that broken alarm clock. And the strange thing, every excuse sounded perfectly reasonable. People nodded. They understood, until they stopped trusting me. Have you ever felt that shift when people no longer trust you to show up on time? They stop giving you important responsibilities. They stop expecting anything great from you. And the most painful part, you start believing that maybe you're not capable of much after all. I want you to imagine this. You have a friend. He's always late. There's always a reason the car broke down. It was raining. He was tired. At first, you sympathize, but eventually, you stop expecting him to show up. And finally, you stop inviting him. Not because you hate him, but because you no longer trust him to do the simplest thing: keep his word. And that's exactly what happens when you live a life full of excuses instead of owning responsibility. In Stoic philosophy, there's a simple rule: no blaming, no complaining, no excuses. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who lived through war, betrayal, and constant pressure, once wrote in Meditations, "You have the power not to react. You have reason to choose the right response." So why are you complaining? Sounds simple, but let's be honest. Are you living by that rule? Or are you letting your circumstances define your identity? I once coached a young man, bright, talented, full of potential, but he was always missing deadlines. Sometimes it was, I had a headache. Other times, I didn't get the info from the team, or they didn't explain it clearly. One day I asked him, what would happen if you stopped making excuses for 30 days? Not one, not even a small one. Just own everything. He gave a nervous laugh, but after 12 days, everything changed. Not only was he meeting deadlines, he started believing in himself again for the first time in years. See, excuses aren't just words. They're a mindset, a lifestyle. Every time you say, I can't, because, you build another wall between you and your true potential. And here's the hard truth: excuses take away your power. Because if the problem is someone else, or the situation, or how tired you feel, then the solution isn't up to you either. But when you say, I was late because I didn't manage my time well, I didn't finish because I prioritized the wrong things. I messed up and I'm going to fix it. That's when you take your power back. You start respecting yourself again, and that respect radiates outward. Friends trust you again. Your boss gives you bigger responsibilities. You walk into a room with the posture of someone who takes ownership, and that kind of energy commands respect without asking for it. If you still think making excuses is harmless, let me be clear. You won't be judged for failing, but you will be judged for avoiding responsibility. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to be honest with yourself. So next time you're late, don't say, "Traffic was bad." Say, "I didn't leave early enough, and I'll do better next time." Next time you miss a goal, don't say, "I was just too busy." Say, "I didn't prioritize it right." Lesson learned. And I promise you this, people will respect you more when you stop defending yourself and start holding yourself accountable. You don't need anyone else's permission to grow. You just need the courage to face the truth and keep moving forward. Stopping the excuses isn't a small thing. It's not just a behavior change. It's a declaration of maturity. It's proof of a stoic mindset. Because a stoic isn't someone who controls the world. He's someone who controls his response to it. And when you live that way, you'll notice something powerful. You won't just earn the respect of others. You'll start walking through life with your head held high, because you finally respect yourself. 2. Laziness and procrastination, the thief of respect. Let me ask you something. Are you doing less than what you're truly capable of? Nobody likes being called lazy, so we dress it up with different words. "I'm waiting for inspiration. I just need time to think." Or the classic, "I'll do it, just not today." Yeah, I used to be that guy, back in college. I was the kind of student who could pass exams without much effort. I'd procrastinate until the last minute, then rely on luck and charm to pull through, and the most dangerous part, it worked. He still got decent results. And that tricked me into believing that being lazy was okay as long as I was smart. I thought I was different. But life has a way of humbling you. After graduation, in the real world, no more lenient grading. No one cared about your potential, only your performance. And for the first time in my life, I learned something brutal but true. The world doesn't respect potential. The world respects action. You could have the biggest dreams in the room, but if you don't wake up on time, if you don't take initiative, if you don't show up and work even when you don't feel like it, you will be overtaken by someone who's not as talented but far more consistent. Epictetus, the great Stoic teacher, once said, "It's not that we haven't learned, it's that we haven't begun to act, and that's why we remain weak." Stoicism doesn't measure your intelligence. It measures your daily discipline, what you do when no one's watching. I once coached a young man with real talent. He had detailed plans, monthly goals, yearly roadmaps, skills to master, books to read. He signed up for courses, joined a gym, wrote out endless to-do lists, but he never followed through. He lived like planning was a substitute for action, and he couldn't understand why he wasn't growing. Have you ever been there? Laziness isn't doing nothing. Laziness is knowing exactly what you need to do and still not doing it. And that creates one of the most painful gaps in life. The gap between who you could be and who you still are. Every day you procrastinate. You fall one step behind, not just in your work, but in the trust others have in you. Friends, stop depending on you. Your boss stops assigning you important work. And worst of all, you start doubting yourself. Let me tell you something hard but true. Laziness can be seen. It shows in your eyes when you avoid responsibility, in your posture when you shrink from action, In your energy, that quiet dullness you carry into the room, and here's the thing, it's contagious. People begin expecting less from you. Then they stop expecting anything at all. But here's the good news. Laziness isn't your identity. It's a habit. And like all habits, it can be broken. A Stoic doesn't wait for motivation. He gets up early. Does the work rain or shine? Mood or no mood? Because he knows if you only act when you feel like it, you'll rarely act at all. Marcus Aurelius. So, if you want to break the cycle, start small. Act first. The feelings will follow. You don't need to conquer your entire life in a day. Just start. Clean your desk. Open the laptop. Write the first 3 lines. Run the first 5 minutes. One small action right now can be the beginning of a life you'll be proud of. I know it's not easy. There will be days you don't want to get out of bed. Moments when it all feels pointless. But remember, you don't need instant results. You just need to keep going. Because every small action, even tired and imperfect, is a declaration I take myself seriously. I am worth showing up for. And sometimes, that's all it takes to shift everything. If you recognize yourself in any of what I've said, this isn't judgment. This is a wake-up call. You don't need to wait for another moment. You don't need another excuse. Get up. Do one simple thing, and let action become your lifestyle. You can do this, and you'll be amazed how quickly the world starts respecting you just because you chose to act, while others kept waiting for motivation. 3. Your appearance reflects your inner value. I used to think that how I looked didn't matter. I believed that as long as I was smart, capable, and genuine, people would see that. It didn't matter if my shirt was wrinkled, my hair messy, or my shoes worn out. People were supposed to see who I was on the inside. Right. Have you ever thought that I get it? I used to take pride in being real, but one day, I walked into an important meeting wearing a crumpled shirt, stubble on my face, and hair that clearly hadn't seen a comb. And guess what? No one listened to me. I had great ideas. I had prepared deeply, but none of it landed. I don't blame them. I'm not saying they were unfair. What I realized that day was this. You only have a few seconds to tell the world that you respect yourself, and you do that through your appearance. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Let your every action be a declaration of who you are." And the truth is, your appearance is your very first action. You don't have to look like a Hollywood star. You don't need a $1,000 suit. But if you walk out the door looking like you just rolled out of bed, don't be surprised when people don't take you seriously. Let's be honest. When someone walks into the room clean, put together, confident, you naturally pay attention. Not because they're better than you, but because they're sending a clear signal. I care. I respect myself. I respect being here. And that's the moment others begin to respect you, when they can tell that you respect yourself first. I once coached a young man, bright, articulate, and full of potential, but no one on his team took him seriously. He asked me, "Why don't people respect what I bring to the table?" So I asked him, "How much time did you spend getting ready this morning?" He replied, "Honestly, not even 5 minutes." I looked him in the eye and said, "So you expect them to give you 30 minutes of their attention when you couldn't give yourself 5 minutes to look like someone worth listening to?" He was quiet, then nodded, and from that day on, everything changed. Now listen, I'm not saying you should live for other people's opinions, but I am saying this. Your appearance is a silent message you broadcast every single day. It tells people whether you respect their time, whether you take yourself seriously, whether you have discipline, and don't confuse not caring about looks with being authentic. Let's be real, that's just neglect. Epictetus once said, "Let your outer appearance reflect the soul you are refining within." You're training discipline. You're striving for integrity. You're building inner strength. So let that show. Let your appearance reflect the man you're becoming, even if no one sees the rest yet. And if you're in a season where you haven't paid much attention to how you present yourself, don't beat yourself up. Just start. You don't need a new wardrobe. You just need intention. Shave. Fix your hair. Put on a clean shirt. Don't let life treat you like someone temporary. Show up like someone who knows he has value. And here's the beautiful part. When you change the way you see yourself, the world begins to see you differently too. You don't need to say much. Just walk in and let your preparation do the talking. Respect doesn't start with words. It starts with presence, with the way you stand, the way you walk, the way you silently say, "I'm here, and I belong here." Maybe no one has ever told you this before, so let me be the first. You are worthy of being seen. You are worthy of being respected. But it begins with how you treat yourself from the outside in. So next time you get ready to leave the house, ask yourself, what am I telling the world just by the way I show up? Because the answer to that question might change your entire life. 4. Respecting boundaries. How you treat others shapes how they see you. I used to think that if I wanted people to like me, I had to always be there, always texting, always checking in, always caring in the way I thought was right. I believed that love meant never leaving someone alone. But one day, a close friend said something to me that I'll never forget. "I know you care, but I need space. Can't you see that?" And right in that moment, I realized I had crossed a line. Have you ever been there? You think you're helping, but they start avoiding you. You think you're showing care, but they feel suffocated. You think you're connecting, but in reality, you're invading. That's the difference between good intentions and real impact. In the world of Stoicism, people don't care what you meant. They care what you did, and whether your actions respected their space. We all have boundaries. Boundaries of time, boundaries of energy, boundaries of emotional comfort. And the truth is, when you ignore someone's boundary, even accidentally, you're sending a message loud and clear. Your comfort doesn't matter as much as my need to be involved. And no one respects someone who doesn't understand limits. Stoicism teaches us self-control first before we try to engage with anyone else's life. Epictetus said it best: "Do not meddle in the affairs of others unless necessary. And if you must, do so with humility and caution." I violated that rule before. I had a colleague who was naturally reserved. I see, on the other hand, was the kind of guy who wanted to connect, always reaching out, starting conversations, suggesting collaborations. I kept sending messages, checking in about projects, trying to build a connection, until one day he looked me in the eye and said, "I appreciate your initiative, but I work better when I have space. I hope you understand." And you know what, he was right. Respecting boundaries doesn't push people away. It builds trust. When you honor someone's space, they start to trust you more. They feel safer around you. And when they do need someone, you're the one they'll turn to. You may be violating boundaries without even realizing it. Maybe you check in with your partner 10 times a day and call it love. Maybe you give constant advice to your friends, thinking you're helping. Maybe you ask personal questions that feel normal to you, but uncomfortable to them. So ask yourself, am I helping them, or am I just trying to feel needed? Because the truth is, those who respect others are the ones who get respected in return. I once knew a leader everyone admired, not because he spoke the loudest, not because he was the smartest, but because he always knew when to be quiet, when to step back, when to let others have space to think. That calm presence, that ability to give people room, is the highest form of Stoic leadership. No forcing, no controlling, just showing up at the right time, in the right way, with the right energy. Try this. Next time you feel the urge to step into someone's life, pause, take a breath, and ask, do they truly need me right now, or am I trying to make myself needed? If you take a step back, you won't lose connection. You'll create space for real respect to grow. And if someone sets a boundary with you, don't get angry. Thank them. They're teaching you something most people never learn: how to step back, how to stay quiet, how to know when enough is enough. Respecting boundaries isn't about creating distance. It's about showing that you understand the value of personal space, autonomy, and trust. And when you live that way, you'll begin to notice something beautiful. People start coming closer to you, not out of guilt, not out of obligation, but because they feel safe around you, because they know he doesn't invade me, he doesn't try to control me, he lets me be myself. And for that, I respect him. 5. Don't steal credit. Respect is never built on deception. I remember a time early in my career. I was working with a group of young, ambitious professionals. Everyone was hustling, trying to prove themselves, hoping to get noticed, eager to climb faster. I was no different. During one project presentation, I made a few edits to the final pitch deck, and somehow it made it seem like the big idea was mine. I didn't lie, but I also didn't go out of my way to clarify. And you know what? That day, I was praised. People clapped. The boss nodded. I felt like I had just won. But deep inside, something didn't sit right. It was the feeling Stoicism names clearly: a disconnect between your public image and your inner truth. Have you ever felt that you're being praised, but you know, deep down, you don't really deserve it? You're receiving recognition, but it's built on someone else's effort. Here's the truth: you don't have to lie outright to be wrong. A well-timed silence, a vague explanation, a failure to give credit where it's due, that's enough to cost you something far more valuable than applause: your integrity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Live so that when someone speaks ill of you, no one believes it." But if the foundation of your reputation is built on borrowed credit, you're building a house with no foundation. And eventually, people will notice. Worse yet, you'll look in the mirror and no longer recognize yourself. Stoicism honors truth, even when the truth isn't convenient, because real respect doesn't come from compliments. It comes from the alignment between who you say you are and how you actually live. I learned that lesson the hard way. The teammate who had actually created the idea, she didn't say anything in the moment, but slowly, she started to pull away. Others on the team began trusting me less. I didn't get fired, but I was quietly cut off from something even more important: trust. And that's the most silent punishment in any relationship. You see, when you take credit that isn't yours, you don't just steal recognition, you steal motivation. You tell others, don't try too hard. Someone else will just take the credit anyway. And in an environment like that, through steroids, teams break down, creativity dies. People stop taking risks. They play small because the reward doesn't match the effort, all because someone chose ego over honesty. You don't need to be perfect to earn respect, but you do need to be fair. And fairness means this: when you did the work, own it. when someone else did shine the light on them. I once worked under a leader I truly admired. He never boasted about personal wins. Instead, he'd say, "This was the team's victory. That idea came from her. This result happened because of him, and because of that, people were willing to go far with him. Not because he was powerful, but because he knew how to share the spotlight." That's what real leaders do. So if you've ever taken credit that wasn't fully yours, be brave enough to set it right. Send a message. Speak the truth. Give back the credit someone else earned. It might feel small, but I promise you it will free you. You won't have to live with the pressure of maintaining a false image. You won't have to fear being found out. You'll walk taller because you'll know I'm living with integrity. And that alone makes me worthy of respect. Real respect isn't earned under spotlights. It's born in silence, in those quiet moments when no one is watching, and you still choose to do what's right. And when you live like that, you won't need to chase recognition, because eventually, people will gladly give it to you. Cease. Speak less. Do more. That's real power. Have you ever sat next to someone who talks a big game but never actually does anything? They speak with excitement about the startup they're launching, the gym routine they're beginning, the book they're writing. You nod. You encourage. You admire their enthusiasm. Then 3 months go by, and they're still talking about the same thing. I used to be that person. I told my friends I was going to run a marathon, learn a new skill, start a YouTube channel, read 50 books a year. I made the plans. I posted the goals. I shared the vision. And then when the night came, I'd lie in bed scrolling on my phone, telling myself, "It's okay. I'll start tomorrow." And that tomorrow turned into 1,000 more empty promises with no action behind them. Stoic philosophy speaks directly to this. Epictetus once said, "Don't boast about how many books you've read. Let your life show what you've learned." In Stoicism, silence is often more valuable than speech. Not because speaking is wrong, but because speaking without action hollows you out from the inside. You've seen it, haven't you? Someone always shouting about how they're going to transform their life. And 5 years later, they're still in the same place, because words became a substitute for action. The real issue isn't just that you don't hit your goals, it's that people stop believing in you. The first time, they cheer you on. The second time, they wait. By the third time, they smile politely and look away. Not because they're cruel, but because trust erodes silently every time you break your own word. I had a friend once who made a new resolution every time we talked. He'd promised to wake up early, hit the gym, eat clean, read daily. Every conversation was a fresh starting point. But year after year, nothing changed. He was still exhausted, procrastinating, and frustrated with himself. And I realized, talking too much about what you will do can lull you into thinking you've already done something. But you haven't. Stoicism teaches one powerful principle: act first, speak later, or better yet, let your actions speak for you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The war horse doesn't need to say it's strong. You'll see it in how it charges into battle." So, let me ask you, are you still talking about who you want to become, or are you actually becoming that person? Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with sharing your goals, but share them. After you've started, be the kind of person that when you say, "I'm going to do this," people believe it without hesitation, because they've seen you follow through too many times to doubt you. Here's a small rule that changed my life. Let your work speak before your words do. Want to change your body? Don't post new beginning. Train for 30 days. Then tell the story. Starting a business. Don't hype the idea. Build the first demo. Then share it. Trying to transform your life. Don't talk about it. Take one real step right now. When you talk less and do more, something amazing happens. You begin to believe in yourself more. 2. Because you're no longer living in fantasy. You're showing up for yourself day by day, proving I'm a person who keeps their word. And from that foundation, self-respect grows, confidence rises, and the respect of others becomes a natural byproduct. So next time you feel like sharing another big plan, ask yourself, do I have something real to show? Or am I talking just to feel better about not starting? If the answer isn't clear, go back to doing, because action is the only language the world really listens to. You don't need to be loud. You just need to be the kind of person who, when they act, it's deliberate, and when they speak, it carries weight. And people like that, they don't ask for respect. They naturally earn it. 7. Time is the measure of respect. Have you ever showed up late to meet someone you arrived breathless, apologizing, sorry, traffic was crazy. Something came up. They smiled. They said, it's okay. But deep down, they recorded something about you, that you didn't value their time. And over time, they may start valuing you a little less. It sounds harsh, but it's true. Time is the most equal asset we all have. And yet, the one we waste the most. You may have more money than me, more experience, better skills, but you and I, we both get the same 24 hours. And what we choose to do with those 24 hours says everything about who we are. I once worked with a brilliant guy, sharp thinker, great ideas, but he was always late, always pushing deadlines, always walking into meetings after they'd already started. He had reasons every time: traffic, double-booked meetings, overslept, and one day, no one invited him to collaborate anymore. Not because he wasn't smart, but because he wasn't trustworthy. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Don't waste time as if you have an endless supply. Live like each moment is a gift." When you show up late, cancel last minute, or keep pushing back plans, you send a silent message that says, my time matters more than yours, and nothing dissolves respect faster than that. Stoicism teaches us to respect the present, because the present moment is the only thing we actually own. Seneca, another great Stoic mind, said it best. It's not that we have too little time, it's that we waste so much of it. And he was right. Think back to the last 24 hours. How much time slipped away in delay or distraction? How many promises did you postpone because you were busy? How many times did you show up late and expect others to be okay with it? Discipline with time doesn't mean living anxiously. It means living deliberately. It means saying to the world, I take life seriously, so you should take me seriously too. You know why successful people are trusted? It's not just because they're talented. It's because they show up. They arrive on time. They keep their word. They're consistent. And when you do that, you don't need to shout to be heard. Your punctuality becomes your voice. I mentored a young guy once. He was passionate, full of potential, but always late. I asked, "Why can't you be on time?" he said. "I'm not trying to be rude. I just suck at time management." And I told him, no one's born knowing how to manage time. But the people who are respected, they're the ones who take responsibility and learn how. Weeks later, he became the most reliable person in the group. No announcements, no explanations, just showing up on time. Every time. That was enough. Enough to earn trust. Enough to earn respect. So, next time you think, it's just a few minutes late, no big deal. Remember, you're not just showing up late to a meeting. You're showing up late to the better version of yourself. Because people who are disciplined with time, they're the ones who get handed more responsibility. They're the ones who others trust with big moments. They're the ones who make others say he keeps his word. He shows up. He's solid. Time never lies. It records everything. And it always rewards those who live with intention. If you want to be respected, don't start with the words you say. Start with how you show up. Start with being on time. You don't need to be perfect to earn respect, but you do need to be trustworthy, disciplined, and real. When you stop making excuses, when you start taking responsibility, when you dress like you know your worth, and act like your life has a clear direction, the world starts to pay attention. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Respect isn't something you chase. It's something you attract when your daily life reflects your deepest values. Live like that, and you won't have to demand respect. It will follow you quietly, consistently, and undeniably.